Hello. Today we are making Chihuly inspired clay bowls. So to start with, we're going to be using clay. And with clay, you've got to be kind of careful because when you're working with it, the more you play with it and touch it, the more moisture is absorbed into your hands and out of the clay. And so it's not like you can keep starting over and over like you could if it was Play-Doh or modeling clay. The more you play with it, the drier it gets. So if you're having trouble with your project today, I recommend you setting it down and just waiting on your teacher to come assist you. So we're going to take the clay and we're going to start off by patting it, kind of like a hamburger if you've ever seen somebody make a hamburger. So they just pat it between their hands. You want to keep in mind that the thickness needs to be the same throughout, which would be called uniform thickness. So right now it kind of looks like the shape of a hamburger. I'm going to start using my hand and my fingers, and I'm gently going to press and spin the clay as I pinch. This is actually making our clay larger. So we're going thinner. So I'm just spinning. I'm trying to keep the thickness the same throughout. And it's okay if your circle is not perfectly uniform, because the Chihuly bowls, that's what makes them so cool, is they're not uniform. They're very organic and fluid. Each of you have been given a piece of canvas. The canvas keeps the clay from sticking to the table. You never want to press your clay directly into a table because it will stick, and when you try to peel it off, it's probably going to tear. So now we're about ready. This is about the thickness that you might find at a fast food restaurant hamburger. But we're going to lay it onto our canvas. We're going to use the heel of our hand and we're going to gently press because we're trying to get our clay more thin. I'm just pressing with the heel of my hand and spinning and trying to keep that uniform thickness. Now, my goal is to get it about as thin as a pancake, not as thin as paper. Paper thin will tear. Smells pretty good. So what we have here is called a clay slab. A clay slab has uniform thickness across. They do make machines that will make the clay slab for you, but for this project, I think it's really cool to use your own hands and press the slab yourself. Now we have a cup for our clay to lay on, but we also have a paper towel, a thin paper towel. So we're going to lay the cup upside down. We're going to take our paper towel and we're going to lay it across that. That's a barrier between the cup and the clay. You would not want to lay your clay directly onto the cup because as it starts to shrink, which is when the water is being released from it, it's going to stick to your cup, just like it would have stuck to the table. So you want to keep something between it, like a paper towel or a napkin. We're going to lay our clay right on top. It's already starting to sort of work with the gravity and go down a little bit, but we gotta help gravity out some. To start with, we're going to use our hands and we're going to kind of give it a gentle hug at the bottom of the cup. So I'm just taking it, I'm giving it a gentle hug. It's starting to get those really cool folds already. Next, I want to take a few fingers and press gently on the bottom so that once you're completed with your project, it sits flat on the table and it's not rocky like a ball. So in order to achieve more of these folds, I'm going to take my finger, I'm going to lift up, and then I'm going to press with my other two fingers. Anywhere I want to have that look of that fluted edge, like Chihuly would. I'm just spinning, and then everywhere I want to put that look, I just lift and do that, lift and do that. So that actually looks pretty good. So this is going to sit back in my clay room for about an hour or two. And then in about an hour or two, I'm going to take the clay off and let it continue to dry without the paper towel or the cup. One important step I forgot is you want to write your name on it with some kind of pointy tool. This is like a skewer or a toothpick, or you could use a pencil or whatever you need to do, but you're going to want to write your name in the bottom so we can tell who's next week. This is going to sit in the clay room for about a week for all the moisture to absorb out of it and to become bone dry. And once it's completely bone dry, we're going to put it in the oven. At home, when you put things in the oven, it's like you're like baking cookies in the oven. Well, at school, we don't really call it the oven, we call it the kiln. And we put our clay in the kiln to fire, not bake. So we're firing our clay in the kiln next week once it's dry. Then we're going to be adding some glazes and we're going to fire it in the kiln again. Thank you and good luck.